The great conclave of the Xylos shimmered with an oppressive weight of expectation, the air thick with the anxieties of 1,000 worlds. Holographic projections flickered across the vast chamber, each a swirling nebula of data representing the countless star systems under Xylos' protection, each system now threatened by the anomaly. For cycles, the Xylos had observed, catalogued, dismissed, and then with mounting horror re-evaluated the Terran Confederation. Earth, a backwater insignificant. A flicker on the galactic rim. Now a bonfire threatening to consume the established order. Grand Strategos Thuron, his carapace gleaming under the pale luminescence of Xylos Prime, shifted uneasily on his dais, the hum of his personal force field barely audible above the collective trepidation of the conclave. "The projections indicate accelerated technological advancement," he stated, his voice a low rumble that resonated through the chamber, far exceeding predicted models. "Their rate of expansion is alarming." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle upon the assembled representatives. A low murmur rippled through the conclave, a wave of unease washing over the gathered Xylos and the allied races who depended on their leadership. The Xylos, an ancient and meticulously logical species, prided themselves on their ability to predict and control the ebb and flow of galactic events. But the humans, they defied prediction. Their history, fragmented and chaotic, was a tapestry woven with threads of irrationality, violence, and most disconcertingly, an almost reckless drive to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Their initial probes, sent centuries ago, had dismissed Earth as a pre-warp civilization, a world barely worth noting. Now, less than a generation later, their ships were pushing the boundaries of Xylos-held space, their technology exhibiting capabilities that challenged even the most advanced Xylos engineering. The representative from the Krill Confederacy, a tall, slender being whose bioluminescent skin pulsed with nervous energy, spoke, his voice a high-pitched whine. "Grand Strategos, surely their advancements are superficial, a mimicry of technologies gleaned from the fringes of Xylos space. We have encountered such opportunistic races before." Thuron turned his multifaceted eyes upon the Krill representative, a flicker of impatience crossing his features. "The data suggests otherwise. While their early designs showed a clear influence from recovered Xylos-derived artifacts, their current iterations are demonstrably original. Their understanding of subspace physics, while unorthodox, is functional. In some areas, it even exceeds our own." He paused, letting the gravity of his statement sink in. "Their weaponry, while crude in its initial conception, has evolved with alarming speed. They have developed directed energy weapons of considerable yield, and their understanding of kinetic weaponry is innovative." The representative from the sentient plant species, the Sylvans, a massive arboreal being whose roots were intertwined with the very foundations of the conclave, offered a contrasting perspective. His voice, a low, resonant hum, filled the chamber with a sense of ancient wisdom. "Perhaps this rapid development is not a threat, but an opportunity. The universe is vast, and resources are finite. A new, vigorous species might bring fresh perspectives, new solutions to the challenges that plague us all." Thuron considered the Sylvan's words, a complex calculation unfolding within his multifaceted mind. The Sylvans, with their deep understanding of the interconnectedness of life, often saw patterns and possibilities that eluded the more logically inclined Xylos. But the risks, the potential for chaos, were too great. "The Xylos have maintained order in this sector for millennia," Thuron replied, his voice firm. "We cannot afford to gamble with the stability of the region on the naive hope that this new species will prove benevolent. Their history is problematic." Another voice, this one sharp and laced with arrogance, cut through the murmuring of the conclave. It belonged to the representative from the Vorath Empire, a reptilian species renowned for their military prowess and unwavering belief in their own superiority. "Grand Strategos, with all due respect, I believe we are overreacting. These, humans, are clearly inferior. A few technological advancements do not make them a threat to the Vorath Empire, let alone the Xylos. We could crush them with a single fleet. A show of force would quickly put them in their place." Thuron suppressed a sigh. The Vorath, ever eager to flex their military might, often failed to grasp the nuances of galactic diplomacy. A direct confrontation with the humans, while undoubtedly effective in the short term, could have unforeseen consequences. Their unpredictable nature, their capacity for innovation, it made them a dangerous adversary. "A preemptive strike is not an option," Thuron stated, his voice leaving no room for argument. "We must proceed with caution, observation, analysis, and if necessary, containment, but no aggression." The tension in the chamber remained palpable, a silent storm brewing beneath the surface of the debate. The representatives of the various races looked to Thuron, their fates hanging in the balance. The humans, a wild card in the carefully constructed order of the galaxy. A species that could either become a valuable ally or a devastating enemy. Their potential was undeniable, but their intentions were shrouded in mystery. The conclave adjourned with no clear resolution, the question of humanity hanging heavy in the air. Thuron, alone in his private chambers, gazed out at the swirling nebula of Xylos Prime, his mind racing with calculations, simulations, and projections. He knew that the fate of the Xylos and perhaps the entire galaxy rested on the decisions they would make in the coming cycles. The humans were coming, and the universe, for better or worse, would never be the same. Light years away, orbiting a pale blue planet, the bridge of the Terran Confederation starship Daedalus hummed with quiet efficiency. Captain Eva Rostova, her gaze fixed on the sensor readings before her, betrayed none of the anxiety that gnawed at her. The Xylos. An ancient, powerful race. The gatekeepers of this sector of the galaxy. Contact was inevitable. The question was, how would they react? The Daedalus was a pioneer, an emissary, a symbol of humanity's ambition and potential. But it was also a David facing a Goliath. Rostova knew that the future of humanity, its place among the stars, might well depend on her actions in the coming days. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Jayan called from the navigation station. We are approaching the designated coordinates for first contact. Xylos vessels are present, multiple signatures. Rostova nodded, her expression calm and collected. Prepare for communication, standard greeting protocol, emphasize our peaceful intentions, and Jayan keep those shields up, just in case. She turned to the communications officer, Ensign Davies, a young woman barely out of the academy, her eyes wide with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Ensign, establish a secure channel. Let's see if we can make some friends, or at least avoid making any enemies. The Daedalus slowed its approach, its shields shimmering with barely contained energy. Rostova took a deep breath, steeling herself for the encounter. This was it, the moment of truth. The first step towards humanity's destiny among the stars. The Xylos flagship Arbiter a colossal vessel bristling with advanced weaponry, loomed before the Daedalus a silent sentinel of Xylos power. On the bridge of the Arbiter Strategos Varro, his carapace a shade darker than Thuron's, observed the human vessel with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. He had studied the reports on the humans, analyzed their technology, and simulated countless scenarios. But he still couldn't quite grasp them. Their history was filled with contradictions. Their technology was a blend of innovation and crude simplicity. Their motivations were a mystery. The Arbiter had intercepted the human vessel, their shields raised, weapons primed. Varro was under strict orders to avoid confrontation, but he was also prepared to eliminate the threat if necessary. He activated the communication channel, his voice a low, modulated rumble that echoed through the bridge. Terran vessel, this is Strategos Varro of the Xylos flagship Arbiter. You have entered Xylos-controlled space. State your purpose. Rostova stepped forward, her voice clear and confident, echoing across the vast gulf of space. Strategos Varro, this is Captain Eva Rostova of the Terran Confederation starship Daedalus We come in peace. We wish to establish diplomatic relations with the Xylos and learn more about your civilization. We are explorers, scientists, and ambassadors. We seek only knowledge and understanding. Varro listened intently, analyzing Rostova's words, searching for any hint of deception. Her voice was calm, her tone sincere. But he knew that appearances could be deceiving. He had dealt with countless species throughout his long life, and he had learned that trust was a luxury that could rarely be afforded. Your arrival is unexpected, Captain Rostova, Varro replied, his voice carefully measured. The Xylos have maintained this sector for millennia. We have established a stable and peaceful order. Your presence disrupts that order. Explain why we should allow you to remain. Rostova paused for a moment, considering her response. She knew that she had to tread carefully. One wrong word, one false move, and the entire mission could be jeopardized. Strategos Varro, she said, we understand your concerns. We are not here to disrupt your order. We respect your authority. We simply wish to join the galactic community. We believe that humanity has something to offer. We have knowledge, skills, and perspectives that could benefit everyone. We are not a threat. We are an opportunity. Varro considered her words, the humans an opportunity. The idea seemed absurd, but he couldn't deny that they were different. Their rapid technological advancement, their unwavering determination, their sheer audacity set them apart from the other races he had encountered. Very well, Captain Rostova, Varro said, his voice still cautious. We will allow you to remain, but you will be under constant observation. Any sign of aggression, any attempt to disrupt the established order, and we will not hesitate to take action." Rostova breathed a sigh of relief, barely perceptible. "Understood, Strategos Varro. We appreciate your understanding. We look forward to a productive and mutually beneficial relationship." The Daedalus Asterisk remained in orbit under the watchful eye of the Asterisk Arbiter. Rostova and her crew began the slow, painstaking process of establishing communication, exchanging data, and building trust. It was a delicate dance, a diplomatic tightrope walk, but Rostova was determined to succeed. She knew that the future of humanity depended on it. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The Daedalus Asterisk continued its mission, exploring the fringes of Xylos-controlled space, mapping uncharted territories and collecting scientific data. Rostova and her crew worked tirelessly, forging bonds with the Xylos, learning their customs, and sharing their knowledge. Slowly, cautiously, the Xylos began to warm up to the humans. They were surprised by their ingenuity, impressed by their resilience, and intrigued by their unique perspective on the universe. Varro, in particular, found himself drawn to Rostova's intelligence and unwavering optimism. He had initially viewed her with suspicion, but he had come to respect her. He saw in her a strength and a determination that reminded him of his own. But despite the growing trust between the humans and the Xylos, a sense of unease continued to linger. There was something different about the humans, something that Varro couldn't quite put his finger on. They were too calm, too rational, too accepting. One day, while exchanging data with the Xylos, the Daedalus Asterisk detected a strange signal emanating from a remote, uncharted region of space. The signal was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was undeniably artificial. Rostova immediately notified Varro, sharing the data with him. Varro was intrigued. He had never encountered anything like this before. He ordered the Asterisk Arbiter to investigate. Together, the Daedalus Asterisk and the Arbiter set course for the source of the signal, their sensors straining to gather more information. As they approached the designated coordinates, they discovered a massive, derelict structure drifting in the void. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. A colossal network of interconnected modules constructed from an unknown material spanning across light years. It was ancient, immeasurably so. "What is it?" Rostova asked, her voice filled with awe and disbelief. Varro could only shake his head in stunned silence. I don't know. I have never seen anything like this before. It's impossible." The Daedalus Asterisk and the Asterisk Arbiter cautiously approached the structure, their sensors probing its surface, searching for any sign of life or activity. They discovered that the structure was completely inactive, its systems dormant for millennia. But as they delved deeper, they began to uncover traces of an advanced civilization. A civilization that had possessed technology far beyond anything they could have imagined. They found remnants of power sources that could dwarf suns, computational devices that could process information at unimaginable speeds, and weapons that could shatter planets. They also found evidence of a great cataclysm, a war that had ravaged the structure and brought the civilization to its knees. "What happened here?" Rostova asked, her voice barely a whisper. Varro's expression was grim. "I don't know," he said. "But whatever it was devastating. This civilization, they were incredibly advanced, but they destroyed themselves." As they continued their exploration, they stumbled upon a central chamber. Inside, they found a massive holographic projector. Rostova and Varro activated the projector, and a holographic image flickered to life. It was a recording, a message from the past. A being of pure energy, its form shimmering and shifting, spoke in a language that neither Rostova nor Varro recognized. But as the message played, a universal translator on the Daedalus Asterisk began to decipher the words. The being spoke of a great threat, a cosmic entity that consumed entire galaxies, leaving only lifeless husks in its wake. It spoke of a desperate struggle for survival, a battle against overwhelming odds, and it spoke of a last resort, a fail-safe. A message sent out across the universe, hoping to reach a civilization that could learn from their mistakes and prevent the same fate from befalling them. "The Eater of Worlds," Rostova said, her voice filled with dread. "That's what they called it." Varro nodded, his face grim. "They were warning us," he said. "They knew that this entity would eventually come for us." The message ended, leaving Rostova and Varro in stunned silence. They had discovered more than just an ancient civilization. They had uncovered a terrifying truth, a threat that could destroy them all. Rostova looked at Varro, her eyes filled with determination. "We have to warn the others," she said. "We have to prepare." Varro nodded, his own resolve strengthened. "We will," he said. "We will warn the Conclave, we will unite the galaxy, and we will fight." Together, Rostova and Varro set out to warn the galaxy of the coming threat. They knew that the odds were stacked against them, but they were not afraid. They had seen the power of humanity, the strength of the Xylos, and they believed that together they could overcome any obstacle. The Eater of Worlds was coming, but the galaxy was ready. Back on Earth, the leaders of the Terran Confederation gathered in emergency session. They had received Rostova's message, and they were reeling from the news. The Eater of Worlds, it sounded like something out of a science fiction novel, but the evidence was undeniable. The ancient structure, the holographic message, was all too real. The president of the Terran Confederation, Anya Sharma, addressed the assembly, her voice grave. "We have known for a long time that we are not alone in the universe," she said, "but we never imagined that we would face a threat of this magnitude. The Eater of Worlds, it is a force of nature, a cosmic predator, and it is coming for us." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. "We have a choice to make," she continued. "We can hide, we can cower, and we can hope that it passes us by. Or we can stand and fight. We can unite with the other races of the galaxy and face this threat together. I believe that we have only one option. We must fight." Her words were met with a chorus of agreement. The leaders of the Terran Confederation, despite their differences, were united in their determination to defend their home. They began to mobilize their forces, preparing for the coming war. They reached out to the other races of the galaxy, sharing the information they had gathered and urging them to join their alliance. Some were skeptical, some were afraid, but many were willing to listen. They had seen the strength of humanity, the ingenuity of the Xylos, and they knew that together they had a chance. The Great Galactic Alliance was formed, a coalition of species united against a common enemy. Rostova and Varro played a crucial role in forging this alliance, using their diplomatic skills and their shared understanding to bridge the cultural divides between the different races. The preparations for war began in earnest. Ships were built, weapons were developed, and strategies were devised. The galaxy was bracing itself for the greatest conflict it had ever faced. Years passed. The Eater of Worlds continued its inexorable advance, consuming star systems in its path. The Great Galactic Alliance prepared for the inevitable confrontation. The battle lines were drawn. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Finally, the Eater of Worlds arrived. A colossal entity of pure energy, its form constantly shifting and changing, it dwarfed even the largest star systems. Its presence warped space and time, creating gravitational anomalies and disrupting communication signals. The Great Galactic Alliance launched its attack. Fleets of ships representing dozens of different races swarmed around the Eater of Worlds, unleashing a barrage of energy weapons, missiles, and kinetic projectiles. But the Eater of Worlds was impervious to their attacks. Its energy shields absorbed the incoming fire, and its immense power allowed it to manipulate the very fabric of reality. The battle raged for days, weeks, months. The Great Galactic Alliance suffered heavy losses. Ships were destroyed, planets were consumed, and countless lives were lost. But they refused to give up. They continued to fight, driven by a sense of duty, a thirst for vengeance, and a hope for a better future. Rostova and Varro led the charge, their ships at the forefront of the battle. They fought with courage and skill, inspiring their allies and striking fear into the heart of the enemy. But even their combined efforts seemed futile. The Eater of Worlds was simply too powerful. As the battle reached its climax, Rostova realized that they were losing. The Eater of Worlds was about to break through their defenses and consume the galaxy. She knew that she had to do something drastic. She contacted Varro, her voice filled with urgency. "Varro," she said, "we have to use the fail-safe. It's the only way." Varro hesitated. The fail-safe, it was a last resort, a desperate measure that could have unforeseen consequences, but he knew that Rostova was right. It was their only chance. "Do it," he said. "Activate the fail-safe." Rostova nodded, her expression grim. She activated a hidden device on the *Daedalus*, a device that had been recovered from the ancient structure. The device emitted a powerful energy pulse, a pulse that resonated with the very fabric of the Eater of Worlds. The Eater of Worlds shuddered, its energy shields flickering. It began to shrink, its form becoming unstable. It roared in pain and frustration. The energy pulse was disrupting its internal structure, causing it to unravel. The Great Galactic Alliance seized the opportunity. They concentrated their fire on the weakened Eater of Worlds, unleashing a final barrage of energy weapons. The Eater of Worlds exploded, its energy dissipating into the void. The threat was over. The Great Galactic Alliance had won, but the victory had come at a great cost. Countless lives had been lost, and entire worlds had been destroyed. But the galaxy was safe. And the Alliance had proven that even the most overwhelming odds could be overcome through unity, courage, and determination. In the aftermath of the battle, Rostova and Varro stood together, surveying the wreckage of the battlefield. They were tired, wounded, and heartbroken, but they were also proud. They had saved the galaxy. "We did it," Rostova said, her voice barely a whisper. Varro nodded, his expression somber. "We did," he said, "but at what cost?" Rostova looked at him, her eyes filled with compassion. "We will rebuild," she said. "We will heal, and we will never forget the sacrifices that were made." In the years that followed, the Great Galactic Alliance worked to rebuild the galaxy. They shared their technology, their resources, and their knowledge. They established new colonies, explored new territories, and forged new alliances. The galaxy began to heal, and a new era of peace and prosperity dawned. Rostova and Varro continued to lead the alliance, guiding them through the challenges that lay ahead. They had become symbols of hope, inspiring countless others to strive for a better future. But even as the galaxy flourished, a sense of unease continued to linger. The Eater of Worlds had been defeated, but the fail-safe, it had left something behind. A residue of energy, a ripple in the fabric of reality, and it was growing stronger. One day, Rostova and Varro received a message from a remote, uncharted region of space. The message was garbled and distorted, but they were able to make out a few words. "We are coming," the message said. "We are the survivors." Rostova and Varro exchanged a look of dread. The survivors, they knew exactly who they were. They were the remnants of the civilization that had created the fail-safe, the civilization that had warned them about the Eater of Worlds. They had survived the cataclysm, and they had been waiting for the right moment to return. And now they were coming. But why? What did they want? Rostova and Varro knew that they had to find out. They set course for the source of the message, their hearts filled with trepidation. As they approached the designated coordinates, they discovered a massive fleet of ships, unlike anything they had ever seen. The ships were sleek and elegant, constructed from a shimmering, iridescent material. They were armed with advanced weaponry, and they were radiating an aura of immense power. The ships hailed the Daedalus Asterisk and the Arbiter, their voices cold and emotionless. "We are the survivors," they said. "We have returned to claim what is rightfully ours." Rostova and Varro were stunned. The survivors, they were not coming in peace, they were coming to conquer. "What do you want?" Rostova asked, her voice filled with disbelief. "We want our galaxy back," the survivors replied. "We were the first, we were the most advanced, and we will not allow any other species to defile our legacy." Rostova and Varro realized that they had made a terrible mistake. They had unleashed a power that they could not control. They had saved the galaxy from one threat only to unleash another, even greater threat. The survivors were coming to reclaim their empire, and they would stop at nothing to achieve their goal. The battle for the galaxy was about to begin anew. This time, the stakes were even higher. This time, the fate of the universe hung in the balance. Rostova and Varro knew that they had a long and difficult road ahead of them, but they were not afraid. They had faced impossible odds before, and they had emerged victorious. They had the strength of humanity, the ingenuity of the Xylos, and the unwavering support of the Great Galactic Alliance. And they were ready to fight. They were ready to defend their home. They were ready to protect their future. The survivors were coming. But they would soon learn that the galaxy was not theirs to take. The galaxy belonged to those who were willing to fight for it. And humanity, along with its allies, was ready to fight to the very end. The true strength of Earth, the true strength of the Alliance, had only just begun to be revealed. It was not just in their technology or their military might, but in their unyielding spirit, their capacity for hope, and their unwavering belief in the power of unity. The universe was about to witness the full extent of that strength. The universe was about to behold humanity's indomitable spirit.